Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to You and Your Health. We are very much excited to have you join our program this evening. My name is Erika Roberts. I'm a co-host of this program, and my other co-host is Dr. Edward Isman. Dr. Eddie, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Welcome back, Dr. Eddie.
Thank you, and welcome back yourself.
Thank you. I know you were beyond busy last week,
Yeah,
so you weren't able to kind of tune in, kind of come in and out to ask your
yeah.
questions. So I'm sure the
So
church appreciate everything that you
I,
do.
I was engaged with the church activity and kind of like have to
Yeah,
balance both sides of the equation. So
yeah. Well, thank you for making it this evening, as always. So I heard something about the COVID numbers in Ghana, which kind of got me a little bit alarmed. That
mm,
believe for the last 4 weeks they've had about 700 cases
yeah,
COVID patients, according to the CDC. And now Ghana has been added to the
mm,
travelers list as number 4 for folks to avoid going because of the amount of COVID cases that they've seen in our country.
yeah.
So very alarming. And
It's
I
very
think,
alarming. And I think we are fortunate that Ghana is trying to make the system work. And if the system is working, then definitely they will be able to identify almost all the new cases or new infections. And hopefully, God willing, I think the AstraZeneca vaccine had been procured by the Ghana government. So,
mm,
yeah.
okay,
So I think the FDA took stock of it. That was last week. That was what I got from a reliable source. So
okay,
fortunately, Ghanaians would also get the opportunity to be vaccinated.
okay. Yeah, somehow we need to convey to our people that COVID does still exist, and they given the opportunity for them to get the vaccines, that they should certainly go ahead and do so.
Do so.
Um, yeah, so I
Yeah.
think perhaps we should have it like a segment with people who have taken the vaccine. I think you mentioned this previously a couple of weeks ago,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
from our church or some of the sister churches to come on the program and maybe talk about the experiences getting the vaccine.
At least we give 30 people 5 minutes each, or maybe as many as we can give them the ample time or within that 1 hour for them to come and then talk about their experiences getting the shot and how
Hmm.
they feel, and then that would boost the public's confidence of getting the vaccine from them.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay, well, let's get started with this evening's program because I guess it's waiting. So, as I mentioned last week, this month's program is centered around some of the key components of the 9 dimensions of wellness. So, last week we discussed the importance of maintaining one's physical health. Today, we will be focusing on the benefits of natural anti-inflammatory diet. I know we have acupuncture and Chinese medicine listed, but after speaking to our speaker, Laura, yesterday, we realized that inflammation is something that all of us experience. And so we hope that will be the discussion this evening. So acupuncture, if some of you don't know, is a very ancient Chinese healing modality that helps to unblock what is considered the vital energy that runs through our bodies. But there are some things that natural foods that we can eat may help lower our odds or chances of having inflammation. So we're excited that Laura Lutisbell, I'm always saying her last name wrong, who's a licensed acupuncturist, will be speaking to us this evening about some of the things that we can do, particularly foods that we can eat that will help decrease inflammation in our body. But before we get started, we want to thank our last speaker, Mr. Michael Martin, for his excellent presentation on how maintaining our physical health is a way of honoring God. He gave us many Bible quotations why this is important. So if you have not seen that segment, which was last week with Mr. Martin, please do watch it and share with others as well. So we're going to get started with this evening's discussion with Miss Laura Lutisville. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Velega.
I hope I did not butcher your name again. I know I've been trying to practice it.
Oh,
Welcome.
it's fine. Most people came from it, so okay, I'm used.
Welcome to our program. Welcome to You and Your Health. And we thank you for accepting our invitation. Laura and I have known each other for a couple of years. She's actually my practitioner for acupuncture. A couple of years ago, some of you in the church knew I twisted my ankle, and it was pretty bad, and sought treatment from Laura, among other things, and was fairly helpful. And she's located in the area in Bowie, Maryland. So if you are interested, she's not too far away. So before we get started, Laura, I'm going to tell our viewers a little bit about your career, and then we can go ahead and get started with our discussion. So Laura Lutisbell is a licensed acupuncturist in the state of Maryland with over 17 years of experience working full-time as an acupuncturist. Over the past 17 years, she has been able to use her skills to help thousands of people with a variety and different symptoms, from pain management to women's issues, emotional imbalances, allergies, side effects from chemotherapy, and radiation and chronic fatigue, just to name a few. Laura has been able to use this ancient medicine and her wisdom, one of years of experience, as well as training with professionals that are considered the best Chinese medicine practitioners worldwide, to provide great relief of symptom management according to her clients. She has also taught graduate acupuncture students at the Maryland University of Integrative Health, located in Laurel, Maryland. Her main and most important goal is to help others relieve unnecessary pain and suffering and bring back their physical, mental, and emotional well-being. In the past, for several years, she has also taught yoga and meditation and dance. Laura loves her beautiful 16-year-old daughter and enjoys spending time with her dog, Sophie. It is her absolute commitment to be of service to her clients with this incredible ancient medicine that has been passed along for thousands of years. So let us welcome back Laura for our discussion this evening.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome back again. So before we get started, I just want to let our audience know that they can certainly send questions as we're having our discussion, and Dr. Eddie will post them for you to answer. So before we get started, this is a question I don't think I ever asked you. So do you mind telling our viewers what made you decide to get into acupuncture and Chinese medicine?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I came to this country when I was 19. I came from Argentina, and I was dealing with a tremendous amount of overwhelmness and anxiety. The fact that I had to learn a new culture, a new language. So I went there for anxiety, and I was also a dancer at the time. One of my majors was dance. So I was having quite a few aches and pains, and somebody suggested to go to an acupuncturist. So I went, at the time my insurance covered it. So I went, and after 4 or 5 sessions, I just couldn't believe the changes that I experienced. I wasn't no longer feeling anxious before a test, or when I had to study, or when I had to do a presentation. Also, my aches and pains, they got, pretty much non-existence. I was going regularly, but I was taking, sometimes 3 dance classes a day because it was part of my major. And, it takes a toll on your body. And acupuncture was a lifesaver. So it changed my body and my emotional body too so much that I just wanted to give it away to other people. I always knew I wanted to help people, and I was always hesitant going into the Western medicine because of the potential side effects that we can have from it. So I was looking for something less invasive, and acupuncture was just perfect. So that's how I ended up in the acupuncture school.
Okay. So I read about the whole energy channels. Do you mind explaining the whole concept of how the energy channels run through our body and what happens when there's a blockage?
Absolutely. A lot of people don't know. They think they might be some kind of voodoo in the acupuncture treatments, but there isn't. There has been studies done even in the NIH that acupuncture actually is effective. And the reason is this: we have this called channels, and we Chinese medicine call them meridians. They run all around different parts of our bodies. Those channels run along the blood vessels. When the blood and the fluids are not working properly in certain areas, those channels get blocked. And they even have done multiple studies to prove that those channels exist. They're called meridians. They do exist. That's why it's accepted in major hospitals now. So when those channels are blocked, the blood and the fluid has a very hard time running through those areas. And then the body's ability to heal itself is compromised. So what the acupuncture does with putting a needle is kind of like a key that you put it in a point and you turn it. It's like opening a key so the energy can flow again. And then the blood and the fluids can also properly flow through that area. Then the body's ability to heal itself comes back a lot easier. So that's the basic concept of acupuncture. It kind of works like a key to block energy in different parts of the body, especially when there is pain and inflammation, but it could also be emotional stagnation too.
Okay. Okay. So I know acupuncture is used for a variety of different things, as I mentioned in your bio, including allergies, headache, infertility, menopause, back pain, joint pain, etc. Do you mind expanding on that list? In case I didn't mention it, what it could be used for, so people are aware of it.
Yeah, absolutely. These days, the main reason people are coming to my office is stress. Because since the COVID, stress have gone off the roof for a lot of people. People's rhythms have changed, their lives have changed. You know, there is so many different worries that they didn't have before. So I want to say the main reason people come for treatment is for stress, and that includes anxiety and depression, unresolved anger. So those are the things, the common things that I'm seeing in my office these days. Um, People can come for addiction. Like, so I've had clients throughout the years that they wanted to stop drinking or they had a smoking issue. And I've helped quite a few to quit smoking or to stop drinking, for example. Sometimes with addiction, a person might need something else, like a community, AA or something in addition to acupuncture. But it will help with the cravings, for example. So, of course, fertility can help with fertility. It can help with the blood flow. Other issues is weight loss is another reason a lot of people come for acupuncture, because it helps to balance the metabolism. It speeds up the metabolism, and it also gets rid of excess free radicals. So the metabolism starts going faster. If I do specific points, if a person wants to lose weight, the body can get rid of those free radicals a lot easier. So that's another reason people come. Insomnia, that's a very common reason why people come for acupuncture. A lot of people don't sleep well at night, and acupuncture can help to sleep. Instead of 3 or 4 hours a night, hopefully they can sleep 6, 7, or 8 hours, which is ideal. With energy, you know, chronic fatigue is a big reason why people come for acupuncture. It gives you energy. It can give you energy. So people that are, you know, feeling very tired all day, no energy, no motivation to do things, acupuncture can be very useful for that. It kind of clears the mind, clears thinking. It helps clear the 5 senses. So our 5 senses are more enhancing. We can also make better choices. You know, hopefully we can smell better, taste better, see better, hear better, because that's a byproduct of what acupuncture does. It just clears out blocked channels. So all those things start clearing out, and hopefully our 5 senses enhances. Our sense of self-awareness enhances.
Okay. So you had mentioned stress. So would you say stress also causes some of these inflammatory process?
Oh my God. Yes. So, I mean, the number one reason why people eat much of the time unhealthy is to relieve stress. You know, food is very emotional for a lot of people. what I found with my clients and just with talking to people, there's such a linkage to food, has to do with family and roots, background. It's not just about the taste. So dismantling all that it takes work. It's not easy to change the diet, but absolutely. I mean, people eat too many unhealthy things when they're stressed and anxious. They don't care, so they just want soothing foods. Unfortunately, that causes a tremendous amount of inflammation. Stress in and of itself, it will affect the immune system and the nervous system. So we stop sleeping as well, and that by default, any symptoms we might have, they're going to accentuate, they're going to become bigger. We're going to see those symptoms more if we are more stressed. So yeah, managing stress is absolutely a very, very important part of inflammation and keeping inflammation down, for sure.
Yeah, I know for example, I used to love yogurt until I had one session with you and it's like, yogurt, is it Greek yogurt? If it's not, you need to cut that out of your diet, boy. So, but okay, so maybe perhaps we can talk about inflammatory food. So, Dr. Eddie, if you're there, I'm not sure if the video's ready to be played, so we can go ahead and try to play it. And the volume. Yes, the volume is not coming.
Yeah, I don't hear the voice.
Yeah. I know we did it not too long ago, and it was something similar to that issue. Dr. Eddie, are you there? It's probably working it. If not, then we can.
I'm
The
here.
volume is not coming, huh?
The volume is not coming right. I don't know.
Okay.
Because we are streaming from. Let me pause.
Oh, here it is. It just
Okay.
came.
It just came. Okay, so give me a
Yep. So
second.
we'll be quiet. Yep.
Yeah. Is it coming?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I want to also share that there is no way I could do everything I do if I didn't have an anti-inflammatory diet, in addition to a lot of supplementation that I take. And I'm going to share this with you. I've shared this before, but I'm going to share it again. So basically, there's 7 things to take out in an anti-inflammatory diet. Is all sugars except for fruit. And you can do a little bit of maple syrup, organic maple syrup and honey, but with moderation, all dairy products. I do pasture raised eggs, and I do them moderately because of the cholesterol, but it does have a lot of nutrition. So except for the eggs, all dairy products, all wheat and gluten, and red meat and pork, and also all the processed foods. So that's basically, those foods are very inflammatory. So those foods need to be taken out. And you can always replace things. That's the wonderful thing about doing your own diet and your own protocol. And then I take things that are very much anti-inflammatory to keep my joints healthy so I can do all the crazy things that I do and I can feel strong and healthy and my digestion is normal. I do curcumin, 95% with black pepper. I take half a teaspoon to a teaspoon a day. I put it in my smoothies, I put it in my salads. I also take magnesium, 400 milligrams at night before going to bed. I take 1 tablespoon of black seed oil every morning. That gives me tons of energy, by the way. I do, not every day, but I do 1 to 2 cloves of garlic. I cut it in small pieces and I eat it within 15 minutes because that's the best way to eat the garlic. I put it on a salad or something. I do ginger tea. I actually do a lot of green tea. I do matcha tea is my favorite. And I do all the veggies and I combine as many colors as possible. They say 7 colors of the rainbow. I do all seeds and all nuts. You know, sometimes people are allergic to some seeds and nuts, so be careful. Seeds are wonderful, by the way. From a Chinese medicine approach, it helps to prevent chronic illness in the long term because it helps with the vital qi, with the essence qi, which in Chinese medicine is the kidneys. So seeds are absolutely wonderful. I drink alkaline water, which has an extra oxygen molecule, so the body loves oxygen. And I drink a lot of water in general, but really that is my anti-inflammatory diet. And, you can become creative. There's tons of information on the internet. And of course, if you want to work with me, I'm happy to help you. All right. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Eddie.
All right, thank you.
So, yeah, go ahead, Dr. Eddie.
Yeah, so picking a clue from just the video that we just watched. So I was like, okay, how we've talked about metabolism, we've talked about free radical species, oxidative stress. So coupled with oxidative stress, which we know magnesium is good. Which other food supplements do you recommend that we take?
You mean for stress?
Or yeah, for stress.
Okay. Well, there is a couple that people can take. Stress and anxiety is a little bit different for each person. So it really depends on each person's composition when it comes down to really doing the right thing for each person. Now, there is some general things that people can take if they have the following issues. If people have a hard time concentrating, if they feel a little too attention deficit, these days that's very common, they can take something called ginkgo biloba. And I'm happy to write it down later, but it's called ginkgo biloba. And you can get it in a natural food store, and you can get it in Amazon. That herb helps us focus. So if we need to finish a task, or if we feel too distracted or too all over the place, ginkgo biloba can be wonderful. For another thing for stress, but it's also for focus. What I found, and this is specifically for someone that is stressed because he feels too ungrounded, too overwhelmed, like they can't focus on one thing at a time, which is very common these days because of the stimuli that we have. So people panic because there's so much to focus on. So another thing that people can take to keep that focus on what they need to focus, so they're not going to the fair, and that's going to help manage the stress, is called St. John's wort. St. John's wort. And that you can take it in the morning because it's also a natural stimulant, but it doesn't supposed to make people anxious. It's supposed to give energy, and at the same time being able to focus on the tasks that we need to take care of. So those two indirectly can help with anxiety. If a person is too stressed and too anxious and they cannot sleep at night, then that would be something different. They would take something called dream water, and that has GABA, tryptophan, and melatonin. GABA, tryptophan, and melatonin. So if a person is too anxious and too stressed and they're very tired, and sleep at night, and they don't have enough energy to do everything they need to do, dream water, you can get it in Amazon. That's a wonderful natural alternative to help people sleep, so they'll feel less stress. Lack of sleep can definitely bring the stress levels up, and unfortunately, lack of sleep is a very common issue, especially when people are stressed, and especially these days.
So I have a question in terms of some other things that we can do in terms of inflammation. I know you mentioned fruits, vegetables, whole grains. So I'm wondering about fresh herbs and spices. There
is tons. So there is herbs. So let me break this down. There is herbs that are anti-inflammatory and detoxers, and there is herbs and supplementation and vitamins, same thing with anti-inflammatory, that are repairing. So if we want to detox, which would be part of an anti-inflammatory diet, why? Because inflammation means that there is an excess of free radicals hanging around that area. And we need to cleanse that debris so the blood and the fluids can go into that area. So the herbs that people could use, or the vitamins or the supplementation, they would be more detox. They would not be repair, because there is the detox category and there is the repair, which is the opposite.
Yeah.
So some of the things that can detox and can help inflammation, especially with the joints, is magnesium. Magnesium goes right into the joints and it helps cleanse out all the debris, and it also helps lubricate the joints. So that's one mineral that is very detox, is a wonderful detoxer, especially it helps to clear some of the mercury that we might have accumulated in our system. So there is a lot, but magnesium is an example. Green tea, especially matcha tea, is similar. It's from the copper family. It's a wonderful detoxer, especially for women that tend to have fibrocystic breasts, and especially for women that tends to have issues that are related to menstrual issues or premenopausal or menopausal. Green tea can help with that kind of issue, and it can help reduce inflammation. It can help get rid of the toxins that are preventing from those women to not have those premenopause or premenstrual cycles. So matcha tea would be another wonderful detoxer. And again, there is so many herbs what the person is dealing with. So let's say that somebody has fibroids. I would recommend iodine, because iodine thins the blood and it shrinks fibroids. It kind of burns them. It literally burns them. Iodine is very hot in nature, so it will go there and it burns them. So that's another detoxer. So it really will depend, because in all honesty, there is hundreds of detoxing herbs. It depends what the person is dealing with, really. A lot of people use charcoal for detoxing. I'm big on charcoal. I think it can be very harsh on the intestines, and I actually think that for some people it can actually make the symptom worse, not better. So there's different thoughts of what to take when it comes to detox and getting rid of inflammation. In my opinion, it's going to depend on the person. There's general things that everybody can take, but depending on where you're having the issue, that's going to make a difference what type of herb the person is going to take. I have answers.
Yes, you did. Daddy, I'm not sure if you have a question before I ask another one.
We have some questions, but they are related to acupuncture. And,
Okay. Well, from the audience?
From the audience.
Oh, yes. Yes, please do submit so she can answer.
So,
are the acupuncture needles targeting nerve endings or deep tissue in the channels?
Neither. We're not targeting tissue or nerves. We're targeting the meridian, the channel. So the depth of the needle, it will depend how deep the channel is. So we learn how the depth of the channel to be able to activate that channel. So sometimes it might go half an inch, sometimes it might be a quarter of an inch, sometimes it might go 1 inch. It really depends on where the channel is. And also the size of the person does make a difference, whether or not we're going to use a longer needle or not to get to the channel. So our main goal is to get to the actual meridian. Not so much, we're not thinking about tissue, we're not thinking of those terms. We got to make sure that we get to the channel.
Okay, so if you are supposed to get to the channel, then the same person is asking, how deep are the needles inserted? And are all needles of the same size, length, or thickness?
Okay. Did you say, are they on the same side or they go to both?
No, same size. Are all the needles the same size and length or thickness?
Absolutely not. So it depends where you put it in your body. Like if you were put it in the ear, it goes very superficial, like just the tip of the needle. If it goes to the lower back, sometimes it can go up to 1 inch deep. The thigh, sometimes it needs to go to 1 inch deep. And sometimes it goes a quarter of an inch, like in the foot, we just put it a quarter of an inch, or in the hand. So it really depends where the needle is being placed in terms of depth.
So in that case, is there a particular level of skin layer that you have to bypass for effective acupuncture?
I'm sorry, say that again.
So in that case, do we have a specific level of skin layer, skin tissue
That you have to bypass.
Yeah, you do bypass the skin layer for sure, but it's not based on the skin layers. It's based on how deep the channel is. So the bladder channel that goes through the back is very deep. So we have to put the needle deeper to activate the channel.
I wish you could get a diagram of how the channel looks like. And people were like picture.
We can have another segment. You can actually.
Yeah, there is 360 points in the body, 360. And it depends on where when you see a picture, you're going to see all the drawings of all the channels. It's not going to tell you the depth of each channel. We learned that in acupuncture school, but you can, if you Google meridian, acupuncture meridian, or channel system, or channel organ system, people should be able to come to see all of the different points and all of the different channels that go through the front, through the lateral side, and through the back.
Okay. So if that is the case, do we have any type of medicine at the tips before insertion, or just the needles straight up, like to the channels?
Yeah, so acupuncture is a small section of Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine involves a lot of different modalities. Acupuncture is just one section. We have something called Chuina, which is Chinese body work, Shiatsu, which is another form of Chinese body work, acupressure. We also have, or they also teach something called Qigong, which is an exercise.
And my favorite, Tai Chi.
And Tai Chi, yeah. And Qigong and Tai Chi, exactly. So that is another form of medicine. Then we have what's called cupping, which is the suction of the skin to help the blood movement. We have moxa, which is an herb that we put to warm the area and to encourage the blood flow in that area. Some acupuncturists do electroacupuncture. Some acupuncturists don't. It really depends where they were trained, or how they like to work, or what they believe it works for them. Once you get out of school, you really have to find your own way, because acupuncture has several different ways of treating, many different theories and modalities. You have to find something that works for you and that it works for your patients. And that takes experience, that takes practice. My patients taught me.
Do you have more questions for the audience, or not anymore? Okay, so since I've had several sessions of acupuncture, my questions are mainly focused on inflammation. So, you've mentioned a couple of things, and I'm wondering about fatty fish. I think typically when people think about fatty fish, they think about salmon. So I'm wondering whether there are other fish types, because our people eat a lot of fish. So
yes,
that you can recommend that will help reduce inflammation.
Yeah, absolutely. The number one thing that I would recommend to every single person, because I don't have the list right in front of me, look for low mercury fishes, because you don't want more mercury in your system. That's very, very important. So a lot of fishes are very high in mercury, and mercury will give us all type of diseases throughout, down the road. So you got to find the low mercury fishes. That's very important. Usually they're the white fishes. Tilapia is a good fish. Codfish is a good. But your people want to go and research and make sure that the fish is low in mercury. That's the number one rule. Salmon is good. I mean, all the fishes are good, to be honest. Are you talking about the omega-3 because of the omega-3 oils?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, they're all good as long as they are wild caught. They're not fed antibiotics or stuff that is going to get into our system. So it has to be wild caught, meaning that the fish was out there in the ocean, and it has to be low in mercury. There is many different types. So people can type on the internet, fishes low in mercury, and it's going to come up. Those are the fishes that they can eat, that is not going to retoxify their bodies.
And how about foods that are rich in vitamin K, like green leafy vegetables?
They're wonderful.
Um,
Less people have a prone to have kidney stones, because vitamin K, unfortunately sometimes can make kidney stones, but or the kidney stones worse. Other than that, I think they're absolutely wonderful. They're very anti-cancer. They give us energy. I mean, the greens gives us so many different vitamins and amino acids and minerals. I think they're absolutely wonderful.
yeah, I know cabbage is like one of the items on the list, but then you have to deal with the whole bloating
Yeah.
if you eat cabbage. So
Yeah, yeah, because of the sulfur. But I tell you one thing though, when people change their entire diet to an anti-inflammatory diet, they don't have any more issues with cabbage. It,
mm,
sometimes well, not sometimes actually, when I notice every time is when they do cabbage and they do other things that they shouldn't do. So then the fermentation or the way that the body processes it and metabolizes is not it's too hard because it has sulfur in it. But I tell you that once people change their diet, they don't have issues digesting things like cabbage or broccoli or things that have sulfur in it.
okay, okay. And I know we always really talk about use olive oil to cook. What about avocado oil?
Yes, unless people have high cholesterol though.
Hmm.
Avocado oil and coconut oil, they're good for people that don't have high cholesterol. If they have high cholesterol, I don't recommend it. Olive oil usually only touches the good cholesterol. Avocado oil and coconut oil can also touch the bad cholesterol. So I say people have high cholesterol, don't do olive avocado oil or coconut oil or even MCT oil. Just stick with olive oil, grapefruit, grapefruit oil, grapefruit seed oil is okay too.
Yes.
Sesame oil is okay too. But I always say to people, keep it simple. Just get olive oil because olive oil is amazing. That's why the Greek live so long.
Yeah.
So
They
people
they
cannot go wrong with olive oil. However, people tend to do their stir fries with olive oil and they put the olive oil right away. And then that changes the chemical compounds of the olive oil. So all of the benefits of the olive oil, unfortunately, go out the window. So what I recommend is to put it 5 minutes before the stir fry is ready. You put a little bit of water and then you put the organic extra virgin olive oil. You just let it cook for 5 minutes, not enough for the chemical compounds to change in the olive oil. And then you're going to have a wonderful oil. Good oils are wonderful, and I think they're necessary
So what would you recommend to use extra virgin olive oil for versus just regular olive oil
for everything.
for
And
everything? Okay.
cleaner. So it's just a cleaner form because there is an active ingredient in the olive oil called oleanthol. Oleanthol. That active ingredient is untouched in the cold pressed extra virgin olive oil. So that's the beneficial ingredient that, they've done studies. They've actually injected oleanthol. In Germany, they've done a study with men with prostate cancer and they actually injected the actual oleanthal in the prostate and they've been successful, but
Really?
it's much more advanced in some but
That is interesting.
I
Yeah,
know.
we've been looking, Eddie and I have been looking for urologists to come on the program. So if you watch it and you know a urologist, let us know. We've contacted a few, but unfortunately have not been successful in bringing them to talk about prostate cancer. But we're still working on it. So no, that was a good insight
Good.
to learn about.
So any folks, if you guys have prostate cancer, organic raw olive oil is wonderful for you. I highly recommend that you take it daily in your salads and your stir fries. Is going to help.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And in terms of fruits, do you have to look for fruits that are rich in color, like berries, blackberry, blueberry, cherries? Does that make a difference in terms of inflammation?
Yeah, so when it comes to fruits, each fruit has a function. From a Chinese medicine approach, each fruit is going to go to different parts of the body. So like, let's say like if people have issues breathing, and or they have asthma and they have inflammation in the lungs, and they can't breathe very well, or they have allergies and like their sinuses are always clogged, the berries are the best. So all of the berries are for that area. It will help clear out that area and it will help with inflammation. If a person is dealing with liver issues, they're having, God forbid, hepatitis C or liver flukes, or they're having chronic fatigue for the liver not functioning at its peak, then something like papaya or even papaya seeds is
Mm-hmm.
going to help cleanse some of that debris out of the liver. So it really depends where the issue is, but each food has a lot of different positive attributes that can give to a certain part of the body. For example, if a person has high blood pressure and if they don't have sugar issues, if they choose not to take medicine, which I don't always recommend with blood pressure. I think that with blood pressure, you don't want to play with that. But let's say that someone doesn't want to go natural and they've done blood pressure medicine, they have so many side effects, they can't stand it, and their blood pressure doesn't go up to 180 because that's dangerous. They go only up to 140. Let's say they only go up to 140, which is, they're not going to have a stroke with that. So what I would recommend is to start eating a banana every day because it has full of potassium, and potassium lowers blood pressure. And then I will recommend to take a tea that is a diuretic, because a lot of the blood pressure medicines are diuretics. They have a lot of oxygen in them, so you can pee all the fluid. So I recommend something that it has a lot of oxygen if a person wants to go natural. But again, with blood pressure, you want to be very careful. I always say to people, you want to make sure, like I have some patients that have come to me and their blood pressure is 180 over 100 or something, and they don't want to take anything. And I say, I cannot see you because it is risky. If it's that high, I do believe a person needs blood pressure medicine. You don't want to fool with that because, you can get a stroke. So you have to be very careful. If you can lower it down enough to 150 or 140, then I say you can, eat a banana a day. If you don't have diabetes or sugar issues, eat a banana a day and drink something like milk thistle tea, which is full of oxygen. So the person is going to pee a lot. Or dandelion tea, the person is going to pee a lot. So if they start doing that and they start exercising, which is very important when it comes to blood pressure, then they'll be able to possibly manage it that way because they have the potassium and they have the oxygen. So I would recommend them a banana, for example, if they don't have sugar issues, because banana is very high.
Yeah. So for the last year, I've learned a lot about seeds, the importance of having seeds. I've been using papaya seeds actually in my green my green juices that I make. I know. And it actually tastes less. You don't get to taste anything when you put it in. So if people are wondering whether, it tastes funny or something, it's very tasteless when you use it in your juices. So, a lot of people are doing plant-based diets now, right? So plant-based protein. Would that help with inflammation as well, if someone has inflammation?
So, okay. So if somebody comes to me and they have inflammation, I will need their history, where that inflammation came from. It's always going to help if the person doesn't have enough protein in their bodies. So, a person goes vegetarian or vegan, which, in my opinion, I think it's better to go vegan if a person goes vegetarian, because I don't recommend dairy products at all, except for pasture-raised eggs here and there, not every day. But dairy products are incredibly inflammatory, in my opinion, for every single person. So if the person is deficient in protein, they can do, peas actually are very high in protein. So they can do pea. There is some of the protein powders that are pea based, but they can put a lot of peas in their stir fries too. Also hemp, wonderful protein source. Hemp is good for the lungs too. which, by the way, right now, I think all of us can get used with everything going on. Hemp whole seeds. If somebody goes vegan and they want to know how to get their protein every day, if they do 2 tablespoons of hemp whole seeds every day in their smoothies, they're getting their protein. And if they do peas, and we have to remember a lot of vegetables have protein in them too. So, like peas and some of the green vegetables have protein in them too. They can also add brown rice protein. So they can do a brown rice protein shake smoothie or something like that. With grains, people want to be careful because grains inflame. So when it comes to brown rice, I always say in moderation. If you can get hemp protein, it's going to be better because it's not going to blow people. Brown rice, is still a grain. So grains tend to blow people. Brown rice is not bad, but people have to do it in moderation. Usually grains have a lot of nitrogen in them, and nitrogen just blows people up. So people have to be careful with grains.
So I guess one of our viewers, one of my aunties, she likes chewing papaya seeds just like that. Actually, I haven't tried that yet. So
I want to say something about seeds, though, that is very important, a safety thing. You don't want to do too much. They can become toxic. So more than a teaspoon of papaya seed a day, I don't recommend. It's too much. This is the thing when we have to really make sure we're not doing too much of a good thing. We have to remember that herbs, supplementation, seeds, anything that is natural that it works is very, very strong if it works. That means that it can have potential side effects. So we always want to be respectful when it comes to seeds. We don't want to do too much because they can be too harsh on the liver, can be too toxic. So no more than a teaspoon. And only what I recommend when it comes to papaya seeds, only 1 week a month. And that's it. Not every day for the rest of our life.
Really?
Yes. I'm glad that I said something. Yes.
It's like I keep it in the fridge, and I literally, whenever I do my green juice, especially when we're going in the office, at least once a day, I had a spoonful in there. So that's very good to know.
Yeah, it can be too much. So what I recommend to people is just once a month, unless they're doing a strong detox. Somebody that has hepatitis C, or if they diagnosed with shingles, something that affects the liver, then I say, yeah, do it for a month because you're going to need a lot of support. But for maintenance, no, 1 week a month is good.
Yeah. So I have a question. You counsel against dairy products. So would you recommend people do soy then?
Okay. The only time that I recommend soy in moderation, is for women that are going through menopause and their symptoms are so severe they cannot manage them. Like some women, when they're in menopause, symptoms can be brutal. They don't sleep, they're anxious, they have panic attacks, they're very moody, very irritable. It's because the estrogen is so low. And so to balance the estrogen a little bit, I say, yeah, you can take some tofu, you can eat some edamame, not a lot, but enough until the symptoms subside. Otherwise, I don't recommend soy because soy simulates estrogen. And estrogen, as we know, is a little dangerous. We don't want excess estrogen because it can cause breast cancer, basically. I mean, we know that. So we got to be very respectful of soy because of the estrogen piece.
Yeah, but that kind of goes for men as well, right?
Say that again.
It kind of goes for men as well in terms of having a lot of soy.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I know that it's not as common for men to have breast cancer, but they don't want to have excess estrogen. It can go in other areas too. And breast cancer, as you know, can happen with men. It's just not very common. but it still applies for men too when it comes to soy and cancer. Yeah.
And that can cause fertility issues too with men.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. Anytime we mess up with the hormones, we are opening up a can of worms. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Dr. Eddie, are you there? Do we have other questions from our audience? Before we let
There are no questions.
there are no extra
There are
questions.
no questions, yeah.
Okay. Well, Laura, this has been very informative. That's just a lot of information. I'm sure our viewers have gained a lot from it, and we certainly want to invite you again to come back to talk to us. There's certainly people watching the program, and it stays on our church's Facebook page, so people can access it whenever they have a moment. So. Thank you so much again for this discussion. And Dr. Eddie, do you have any comments before we let Laura go?
Her last comment on anti-inflammatory diet and COVID-19.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, I think you was talking about what you discussed yesterday and how having an anti-inflammatory diet could help, during this
COVID-19.
pandemic. So do you mind saying something about it before you go? Or
So we don't have the immunity of the virus yet. So any of us can, I mean, that's a given. We haven't built the immunity. However, the healthier we are, the less side effects we're going to have. This virus can be very brutal, as you know, very brutal. I just had a client that had it and she was fine. And 3 weeks later, she's developing joint pain everywhere. She is COVID negative and she has this now chronic pain in every single joint in her body. So this virus, I'm sorry, but it's nasty. We don't know how it affects people in different ways. Eating healthy is going to very majorly prevent to have some of those possible side effects. Still get the virus, but the side effects most likely are going to lessen. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a question for you now. Since you hit on fertility, are there any fruits or vegetables good for those in childbearing years?
Yes. So while you are pregnant, she is pregnant right now?
And I think she's asking for individuals in childbearing years, I guess, prepping to be pregnant, whether they're fruits and vegetables they should focus on.
I would have to see her because depending on the diet that she was on, of course, sweet potatoes and yams and all of the sweet potato family, they simulate progesterone, and all of the soy products, they simulate estrogen. If somebody wants to go natural and they don't have enough progesterone and enough estrogen, they can try those too. But I would recommend with a healthcare practitioner to make sure that the estrogen and the progesterone is not going too high because they don't want that to happen. However, when it comes to fertility, it's a whole protocol. It's diet, it's exercise. The things that they're eating will make a difference. Whether or not the sweet potato is going to increase the progesterone. So it has to be very comprehensive when it comes to getting ready to bear a child. Age matters, health matters. There is a lot of different components, but you cannot go wrong with any vegetables unless you are allergic to any of them. When it comes to fertility, you can't go wrong.
Okay.
And I heard yams produce a bunch of twins. So I think this was one of the research articles I read. So that so they should eat a lot of yams if they're looking for twins. So anyway, Laura, thank you again for joining us, and we hope you come back soon to our program. We certainly appreciate your time.
Thank you for having
me. Yeah, it has been very informative. It has been very informative, and I know people loved it. A lot of people are like thumbs up.
Liking it, thumbs up, thumbs up. They may not have a lot of questions for you, but they're certainly watching. So thank you again. All right. Well, have a good evening. Hopefully we get to see you soon.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, family, I hope this segment was informative to you. As always, please do share the link to this program with others so they too may benefit from it. So, Dr. Eddie and I will be back next month with new guests, and we'll focus on mental health, immigration, and financial health, as well as other topics. So we hope that you will tune in as well. And please feel free to submit any suggestions or any questions to emcuandyourhealth@gmail.com. Again, that's emcuandyourhealth@gmail.com. And please continue to stay safe, wear your mask, wash your hands, and social distance. And if we're blessed enough to be on the list to get the COVID vaccine, we suggest that you do so. As you recall, Dr. Abe did a whole presentation on the benefits of getting the vaccine and why we should all get it when it's offered to us. So if you haven't seen that, it was on the program on January 12th. So I do recommend that you go and watch it. Thank you, and we hope you have a wonderful evening, and see you next time. Bye-bye.